From the 28-yard line of Auburn. Bama going left to right. Bryce gets the snap, knee high. Looks, throws the fade route, near side end zone. Got it! Caught! Touchdown, Alabama! Caught by Ja'Cory Brooks in the end zone.
And Chris Davis takes it to the back of the end zone. He'll run it out to the 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 45. There goes Davis! Oh my God! Davis is going to run it all the way back! Auburn's going to win the football game! Auburn's going to win the football game!
And Alabama has come from nowhere to defeat the Auburn Tigers in multiple overtimes.
Welcome to episode 4 of Tide and Tigers. The down week is over. The awards have been given out. The Army-Navy game has played. Now it's time for everybody to prepare for their bowl. Well, except Auburn, it's time for everybody to prepare for their bowl games. So
it's basketball season. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I guess you're right. It is basketball season. So for all of the SEC, really, because there's like 100 good teams in the SEC in basketball.
We got like 10 in the top 25, maybe?
I think it's 12. Half the top 25 is SEC teams. But, so the down week and everybody's gotten their awards and it's all over. We'll recap that, I guess, first to start with.
Yeah, let's go ahead and knock that out.
Awards. Any shockers to you? I guess before we go over the big one, Thursday night, Doak Walker, running back, goes to Genty.
Which we knew. That was a given.
Travis Hunter takes home the Biletnikoff, the Chuck Benderek, and the Walter Camp Player of the Year award. 3 major awards on Thursday night. The Biletnikoff, I looked at the stats the other day. He may be like the last... in the last 10 years, he has the least amount of yards ever by a guy to win the best wide receiver award. Is there anybody else you maybe should have gotten it, or do you think Hunter was the best receiver in the country?
Honestly, I haven't looked at the stats enough to make that debate. I know if he would have... Well, actually, it's a weird argument for that because, yes, he played both ways, but he still played 90% of the snaps on both sides of the ball. So it's not like he would have got more snaps.
Well, he was sixth in the country in receiving yards. I actually thought Restrepo was the best wide receiver in the country to me, and he was 8th in receiving yards. Hunter was 2nd in touchdowns. Restrepo was in 5th. I don't know. The guys above him were all, San Jose State, Bowling Green, Maryland, Ball State, South Alabama. There just really wasn't any other big names. And some of this, I feel like...
you think about that, Colorado doesn't play any really big names.
But it's not by big... But he's a big name. So,
True.
I feel like it was almost a popularity contest in some of these awards this year. Especially going to the quarterback awards. Cam Ward was the best quarterback all year.
Yes.
He wins the Davey O'Brien, but Shedeur wins the Johnny Unitas. How does Cam not win both those awards? I don't know. I'm not saying that Shedeur wasn't deserving. He played a great year, but... Cam was by far the best quarterback. I think he should have swept both those awards. Like I said, 3 or 4 guys really taking home most of the awards. I did look. Auburn has not won a major award since 2019. Derek Brown. Remember how good of a year he had that year. But I know that Reese Dismukes won in 2014 as a lineman, the center award, the Remington. No major big-time award has been won since 2010 in Cam Newton.
Well, 2010 to 2019?
2010 to now.
Is a spread of when? Because you said 2019 is the last Auburn award.
But 2010 to this year, there's only Cam's the last one to win the Heisman.
Oh, to win the Heisman, yeah. Well, it's not a common award to win. Yeah, Alabama has people win it a lot.
No, never until 2000.
Until Richardson,
Auburn had Sullivan, Bo Jackson, and Cam. Auburn had Ingram in 2009. Now Bama has more. Bama's got Young, Henry, Ingram, and they have one more. Who else won it?
It wasn't Richardson. He was just in the race. It was
Devontae
Adams, yeah.
Devontae Smith.
Or Smith, I meant.
We'll get to Devontae Adams in a minute. So yeah, Bama's now past Auburn. What do you attest that to? Is it recruiting or player development?
Well, no, that was all Saban. That was during those times. This is a new era. I ain't even considering.
But Auburn since 2010. Why have more individual players not won Do you think his development during that time, the change of coaching, what do you think is...
Well, after Cam, we had, Nick Marshall, and that was all about scheme and stuff like that. So not one of our players on that team was going to be a candidate.
Yeah.
With certain coaches like Gus Malzahn, you're not going to have a Heisman player out there because he spreads the ball around. Yeah. It's all scheme. So I would say coaching, and I wouldn't say it's not recruiting. We get the athletes.
Yeah.
It's just we end up using so many of our players in our depth instead of having one player that's just dominant like a Derrick Henry year after year for Alabama. We don't get that at Auburn anymore with running backs.
But even the defensive side of the ball, like Will Anderson won a couple of awards a couple of years ago for Alabama. Like it's I think one year they had four different guys at the award show. The Derrick Henry year, a lot of that has to do with Saban's development. Of course, most Auburn fans would say one of the Carlson brothers should have won the kicking award at least once. That was a travesty. At least Daniel Carlson for one year had a great year.
Yeah.
But I think. Having good players results in good teams. These guys that are there, especially the Heisman winner, the years Cam wins the Heisman, they won the national championship that year. So I think having a star player or star players definitely helps the team. And Auburn's success hasn't really been there. I mean, Florida, look at them. They haven't really won anything since Tebow, and there haven't been really many successful years. Alabama's had a lot. Good players make great teams. So coaches. I believe in good coaching, but players. It's about the Jimmies and Joes.
During those Tebow years was when Florida was the equivalent at the recruiting and being able to do early NIL deals before NIL was a thing.
Very true.
And then Alabama got back on top with that.
Yeah.
And that was because Florida had a lot of issues go down with like Cam and the Sense and stuff like that. So Auburn was able to step in, but Auburn has never been successful at it to the extent of the Alabamas, the Ohio States, the Floridas.
Yeah.
Like, we've just never been able to do that until now.
Well, and people will say Florida State. I sent y'all this morning, the Free Shoes University is what Steve Spurrier used to call them. But I think Bobby Bowden, the academic, wasn't really hard to get into Florida State. And so...
Same with Alabama.
So, that's what so much, I think Vanderbilt, everyone's like, man, when is, Vandy finally going to get back? Well, it's so hard to get into that school. I'm not saying athletes are not qualified to do that, but it's just, I couldn't get into Vanderbilt. Like,
right, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just a tough school to get into, and I think we talked about the other day of, like, with the new era of the NIL, like, when is, like, a Bill Gates or somebody going to come along and be like, I'm going to make Harvard relevant again? But again, there's that standard of getting into those schools. You saw, we talked about with Portnoy in Michigan getting Bryce Underwood. Somebody with a lot of money finally came along and said, we're going to go get somebody. Let's change the culture. But again, a lot of it has to do with the academics of getting into these schools as well. The tougher schools, it's going to be hard to get a lot of players in there. So
yeah, I mean, and you're looking at the issues with NIL right now, where certain players are making demands where I have to play every third down, or what player was that?
Florida,
yeah, Florida recruit.
Who had one sack this year, but Jack Pyburn, yes.
He wants to guarantee that he plays every third down, all that stuff, and guaranteed money, whatever. That is ridiculous to the extent of, all right, well, the school should be able to rebuttal that and say, all right, if we put you on every third down, for every time they score, we take money out of your NIL. Like, there should be a win-loss issue with that.
I was actually very disappointed that you didn't laugh at my message back to you. I think it was you and your dad, when it was like, you play every third down, he breaks his leg on second down. Nope, you got to stay. You got to play every third down. Like, that's just ridiculous demands. Speaking of ridiculous demands, since we're still in the players, Micah Hudson, who's transferring from Texas Tech to Texas A&M. Listen to these demands. Ready for this? $700,000 minimum wage, upfront, 1-year deal to sign immediately.
Minimum wage?
Yes.
What?
I'm sorry, minimum wage. Not minimum wage.
I want to work there.
Yeah. Minimum wire. Okay. He wanted $700,000 wire to his account. Separate NIL deal for 3 cars for his family members. A personal driver for a Cadillac SUV for Micah from spring practice through the end of the season. Family hotel and travel arranges for each game for up to 10 members to have travel, tickets, and costs paid for, and a medical injury time off and playing after injury determined by his family.
Jeez.
And so A&M must have, they got money. They must have given him that deal. What is going on, Chance? Like, what is going on?
Well, A&M's got money. We've known that. How do you think Manziel and everybody got?
But still, like, this guy's a good wide receiver, but like, I mean, come on, man. Like, let's see if I can. I look at his stats. I mean, oh my gosh, it's nowhere near what some of these other guys had in numbers. Like, I just don't see how. It just baffles me. What is this really going to? I know Rhett Lashley for SMU was like, we need to shut down the early transfer portal. Like, some of these kids are having to make decisions. For instance, Penn State's backup quarterback. He had to go to the portal. He's like, listen, I have no other choice. Like, I want to go play football, and if I don't do it now, I can't go to another school. So he's going to miss the college football playoff. If Penn State's starting quarterback, Alter gets hurt, they don't have a backup anymore because he had to, like, this whole wild west that Lane Kiffin has talked about. They gotta fix something, man, because it's out of control at this point.
It's in some instances it's very interesting though. Like Auburn is now following the Florida State playbook, where we're gonna go find players in the transfer portal, bring them in, and hope they deliver. But what we're actually doing this year is we've got 2 starters for Auburn caliber, and they're both transfers coming in to compete.
Yeah,
we've got the kid from Oklahoma.
Okay.
And then we've got the quarterback from was it NC State?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Micah Hudson had 8 catches for 123 yards this year. Now I think he got hurt. Yeah, because his last game was on. But at that point, 8 catches for 126 yards, and he demanded all that stuff. Just like the guy from Florida, 1 sack, and he wants to start. It's just
he must have some good huddle film from practice or something. He's able to provide.
Again, like I said, this is only the beginning of what's to come with all this stuff, and with no contracts, with no any of these things, it's going to be the Wild West until the NCAA steps in or somebody steps in and says, "Hey, this can't happen anymore." Yeah. So while we're still on Thursday night, I know it was a big thing with you. Rams 49ers, no touchdown for the first time in an NFL game.
We were scrolling through these bets and looking at the first touchdown favorites and stuff. I looked at the very bottom of the list and I was like, no touchdown scored. The odds of that. And then I forget, it's about to rain in California for this whole game.
Yep. Very sloppy game. 49ers are now out of the playoff hunt. The NFL is so crazy. It makes you think about Mahomes and Brady and all these teams that consistently... I think I sent you every.
Chiefs haven't even scored more than 30 points.
I know, but to continue to win and go to the playoffs every year. I mean, the NFC East, it's a new champion every year. Other divisions, new champion every year. The 49ers have been in the Super Bowl 2 out of the last 3 years, and now they're not even going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
So it just
you take McCaffrey out the picture.
Yeah, yes. Injuries have killed them along with some other teams, and we talked about this last week. NFL is a survival to the fittest. Will we see this in the college football playoff? We'll see.
I've already predicted that.
You're predicting
it's
that
going to
too.
come down to who has the best depth. Not the most depth, but who has the best. Because when you're down to your second string quarterback, your third string running back, and your second string tight end, those are going to be the ones that you have to score for you in the red zone and make plays. It's going to come down to talented depth.
Well, and that's a great segue to our thing. Also, Cooper Kupp, no catches. Cooper Kupp has no catches, and there's no touchdown scored in the game. What if you parlayed that? What did that have paid? I would not be here with you if I could have parlayed Cooper Kupp, no catches, and there'd be no touchdown in the game. Segue into no quarterback, no running back, no wide receiver. South Alabama plays without their starting quarterback, their starting running back, their starting wide receiver. Then they still beat Western Michigan in the Armed Force Bowl on Saturday. Major Applewhite, he's bounced around, been an OC at Alabama at one point. He's done well at South Alabama, but shout out to Jeremiah Webb, 182 yards receiving in the first half. Bowl record in Montgomery, Alabama, but no catches in the second half.
They figured we got to shut him down. That was...
I had 182 yards all in the first half. But Major Applewhite, I think that's one of the names you'll see kind of come up.
Okay.
South Alabama was a good spot, but he's done well down there, and another good season for USA, who didn't even have a Division I football program 10, 12 years ago, and now, like I said,
it started when we were a freshman in college.
Okay, so yeah, and I know
sophomore college.
I know your pops has got ties down there and everything with Joey and Jones and those guys. So but yeah, that's USA is compared to like Troy and UAB. I think USA is a more, to me, because of the location, I would go there if I was, an Alabama player compared to UAB or, no offense to UAB or Troy, but USA, I think I'd go to Mobile before I go to those other two schools. So,
right.
And Major's a great coach. So, all right, and then we'll get to the Navy-Army game. I don't think I've been more shocked this year, even though I don't know much about each of the teams like I do the SEC teams. It wasn't Ohio State, Michigan type surprising. Navy put it on them.
I think if we go, well, this scored way more than I expected, but if we go back to talking last week and in our text with Dad and stuff, I brought it up that Navy always keeps it close with them.
They do.
That it was going to be a good battle. I did not expect Navy to even put up 20 points, let alone 31.
31-13 your final score. I think all the crap talking, which usually doesn't happen in this game. This is more of a civil respect type game. Oh, they play hard, but Jeff Monken says before the game on the McAfee show, do they still have a football team in Annapolis? You can't do that at 11-1 and then go and lose the game. And you even saw Horvath this week. He was talking about it too. He goes for 204 yards rushing, 107 yards passing, 4 total touchdowns. I mean, they put it on. They completely physically dominated an 11-1 football team. Shout out to Navy. What a win that was.
And I was thinking it was going to be more of, I know Navy's defense was going to step up and make it a good game, but Army's defense had no answer.
No.
None.
It just, like I said, very shocking game, very shocking turn of events from what I guess we thought it was going to be. We both took Army, both lost on that. That was only 2 games on Saturday. We did have the Heisman Trophy presented Saturday night.
And after all those awards that Travis Hunter got Thursday night,
yeah.
I did not expect him to win the Heisman. I was like, okay, they showered him with all those awards. Genty's getting the Heisman. I was wrong.
You were not wrong by much.
It was like 300 points?
We got it down right here. Where's it at? I'm sorry.
Up here.
Closest vote since 2009.
214 votes.
214 votes.
That's what it was, yeah.
So, it was very, very close. Again, I was shocked. I thought Genty should have won the Heisman. He didn't.
And no hate on Travis Hunter. You deserve it as well. It's just Genty did something that no other running back is probably going to be able to accomplish in the next 10, 15 years.
But Hunter did something that nobody's done since maybe Charles Woodson.
And that's true.
And he won the Heisman.
And now he's actually opened the door for more players. You see that they're trying to get a lot more defensive players involved with offenses these days.
Yes.
They've started to announce that's what certain players in the transfer portal are wanting too. They want some reps on both sides.
Yeah. Well, to us as flag football players, we always play both sides.
Yeah, we loved it, and there's players that can do it.
Yes, and we've seen some of those years. Obviously, the Lions, they throw in, linemen to catch touchdowns and stuff like that, or deep,
you got Edelman.
Yeah,
when he was at the Patriots.
Yeah, Edelman played some DB and stuff like that, and you see Lane Kiffin puts that defensive lineman in to run the football on their 4th and short packages, but never to Hunter's extent. Even Charles Woodson didn't play as much on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, this guy started both ways. I think you'll see more trends of that. I'll talk a little bit about that in my Alabama segment with the gentleman from Clay, Jalen Mbakwe. He played both ways for Clay. He's really wanting to do that for Alabama, going forward. And I think that was some people in the transfer portal were really pushing to him of getting him to come to school, saying, hey, you can play both ways here. I know we've heard before, like Jameis Winston and some of these guys wanting to play 2 sports. That really has gone away. It's crazy. The trend now is that people want to play both ways in football, because that's a tough task. So, like I said, shout out to Travis, because that was a pretty impressive year, and congratulations on winning the Heisman Trophy. So, Sunday, crazy day. The big storylines, in my opinion, Bills versus Lions. Josh Allen has proved, I think, now the MVP frontrunner.
I trusted you on that game.
I know.
I second guessed myself.
I was wrong. I was wrong. Detroit. Jared Goff, I think, is still that same guy. That reason why the Rams got rid of him for Matthew Stafford. I think with all the weapons he has, there's just some times where he just goes non-existent, and he just doesn't make those spectacular plays you see from Mahomes or Stafford or Rodgers or some of those guys. I think he's a good quarterback. I don't think he's a great quarterback, but he's got St. Brown, Montgomery.
Don't have Montgomery no more.
I saw the Montgomery's out for a while. Maybe the season. That's a tough blow. But he's got a lot of weapons, kind of like Brock Purdy with the 49ers.
Yeah.
But again, I don't see them winning a Super Bowl. I thought they were the Super Bowl favorite. Watching them back-to-back weeks against the Packers, which they barely won, and the Bills, which are 2 Super Bowl contenders with great quarterbacks, not good, but great. they're not going to win the Super Bowl. And that's disappointing because I thought the Lions were the favorite.
I think everybody wanted the Lions to be in the top 4 this year, and they'll still be a competitor, but you're starting to see that along with other teams, they don't have the depth behind it.
Yeah.
What happens if Goff goes down?
Yeah.
What are they going to do?
Yeah.
Because at least with Josh Allen, when he goes down, you've got players you can count on around him.
Yeah.
So
I mean, and Gibbs is going to have to take the full load. And again, most teams starting quarterbacks go down. There's not many, like Cousins with Penix Jr. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But like most teams don't have an unbelievable backup. You saw when Miami lost to it was like watching a high school quarterback play quarterback.
Right. Or bringing in then you got veterans you can bring in like Jameis, who will be a surprise and win games for you, but then lose games for you too, which we'll talk about as well.
So the Chiefs, it segue into Jameis, 3 interceptions. He's benched. 2 weeks from having that spectacular game on Monday night, he's already benched again after they play the Chiefs. Chiefs are a great defense. Spagnuolo does a great job with them, but is the Jameis era over now? Is he going to get a job?
They played the Thursday night last week too, right?
Yes.
So did you hear what Gruden said?
No.
That he thinks they should get rid of Thursday night football because the players are not ready. That they never have enough time to prepare for the game, stuff like that. And he thinks it's a detriment to the games and that it ruins them.
And a lot of people have said that, but now they said the Thursday night game has become more popular because of the week and a half off after you get.
Yep.
It's almost like another bye week. So teams that, play were like, hey, especially I think I saw somebody had a Thursday and then a Monday night game. So that was, even another day of break. So it's become popular with teams. But yes, I don't think they're really prepared. But they're like, man, if we can squeak through with a win, we have a week and a half off. Imagine you have a bye week. You could have 2.5 weeks off. And Joe Burrow talked a lot about the bye weeks. And if they go to more games, he's like, bye weeks are so crucial to get teams healthy, especially in the NFL. Last one I want to talk about, Mayfield, your boy.
Oh yeah, he's lighting it up in Tampa, and people have been calling it out. Even McAfee talking about it. He is a newly developed veteran. Like he's gone through all the motions of being a rookie starting and a veteran at another place and getting traded to different teams. When he went to the Rams, he showed that he was a different player.
Yeah,
he lit them up and went into the playoffs and won games. Now that he has Tampa under his helm, he's just enjoying football again, like he's back at Oklahoma.
Well, I saw a couple people, including linemen and tight end, were saying he's the first quarterback I've been around. No shot at Brady or anybody else. That's like one of the boys.
Yeah.
Most quarterbacks kind of separate themselves, do their own thing. It's the most important position in all sports. So you have to but he's just kind of one of the boys. And I think that Tampa's. He's showing. I don't remember a quarterback like this in his career a little bit later, not too late, that's just really taken off. I mean. Jalen kind of made that jump when he went to Oklahoma from Alabama and really turned around. But he's done good with the Eagles, and he's a great quarterback. So his jump may have been a little bit more in college. But Baker in the NFL to go really nobody wanting you and as a backup to like one of the top 5 guys in the league right now, Chance. Like they doubled the Chargers' yards. That's crazy to do in a game.
That's also something that can be equated to the teams that these players go to. Baker did miserable at the Browns.
Yeah.
He didn't have anything around him except maybe 1 or 2 athletes, a running back and a receiver, and then a lineman, Joe Thomas. But without great coaching and only some good players, you're not gonna prosper. You're not gonna improve. You're just gonna survive every week, and that's what he was doing. And then when he went to Carolina, same issue. You don't have a great staff. You don't have great players around you. You're having to carry that team. He got to see what it was like behind Brady and saw how Brady ran Tampa.
I don't think he was there yet.
I thought
No, you were talking about the Rams, McVay, and Stafford. He backed up
Stafford, yeah. He was behind Stafford, got to see that. He came in out of nowhere, season, basically, but he got to see that, hey, I can replace a starter.
Yeah, because Stafford gets hurt.
Yeah, still earn things. Yeah. And show people I've still got what it takes. He gets to Tampa. Last year was didn't he get some injuries later in the season?
But they still had a good year.
Yeah, they still had a great year. Him and Evans finally clicked.
Yeah.
And he's also lowering his shoulder when he runs.
Yeah.
He's not. I know he needs to slide, but he's running through people and making plays.
Yeah. Well, and again, when he had a Super Bowl winning quarterback in Stafford, you can learn from, and then you have a Super Bowl winning coach in McVay. I think that's a huge difference. I say all the time, what if Patrick Mahomes wouldn't have gone to Kansas City? would he have still been the same Patrick Mahomes? I don't think so.
And that's what people are saying about the coming draft. If you send Shador to Giants, or if they draft him or whatever, does he actually prove to be a good quarterback there?
Yeah.
Because no other quarterback can. Daniel Jones didn't. You aren't going to be good at certain teams until they get a whole new revamp like Washington did.
Yeah.
Even Washington had this curse for the longest time.
Yeah.
So I think it says a lot about where they end up more than if they're a great player starting out or not.
Yeah.
Because Baker would have been great with great coaching.
Yeah. Well, and nobody's going to live up to the Packers. I mean, they've had 3 quarterbacks in 40 years. And,
They're loyal to them.
But I mean, Favre, Rodgers, Love.
And they're going to stick with Love.
He's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So it's like, but yeah, Cleveland and Carolina. I mean, I guess the Cam years, but like not maybe. But who's another one? The Giants. Since Eli, but there's another team that has a list of.
I would say the Lions and the Bears.
But there's one more team. Maybe the Bears is another one too that's gone through a bunch. But yeah, so many teams looking for that quarterback, and then you look at Green Bay and they've had 3 guys, and it's just
Steelers besides Big Ben. After Big Ben, they just whoever we can get.
Exactly. So again, they drafted Kenny Pickett at one point. So yeah, it is about the system. I think if you can get into a good system, and see, that's going to make you develop the most. And I love what they're doing in Tampa with Baker for sure. So
and something about that system part too is something that Belichick is referring to now that he's going into college.
Yeah.
And he was able to learn every aspect of how to balance a team with money, everything like that through NFL. Well, he got tired of dealing with the politics of the NFL.
Yeah.
Now he can come to the college and do everything he was allowed to do in the NFL, but with no cap limit.
Yeah.
There's no restrictions on how to get players. So he is going to flourish there. And I saw he was allowed in all these coaches' offices for the past year and a half while he was not coaching in the NFL.
Yeah.
Doing the meetings and stuff with him. He was actually learning everything about his competition.
Wow.
It's incredible that the coaches were willing to open up their doors to him and share everything with him and learn from him.
Well, him and Saban cut from the same cloth, and I felt like when Saban went to Miami and came back, he knew what he took to success and what failures at LSU, and he came back with the NFL mindset, and the rest was history.
And one thing Saban was able to use from that, didn't matter how long he stayed in the NFL, he got to tell players that were coming to play for him, I have my connection still in the NFL. I can get you there. Yeah. He's not just saying it; he can prove it because he was there.
Yeah, well, but here's the thing: is Belichick's 72 years old. I know he's got like a 24-year-old girlfriend. Maybe that's going to keep him young. So we'll see. But wrapping it up, Monday night doubleheader, the Kirk Cousins doubleheader. Former team and the Vikings crushed the Bears. A lot of hope with Caleb Williams and the Bears this year. Vikings look great. Sam Darnold almost in the MVP conversation. It's nice when you got Justin Jefferson and Addison and Jones from Green Bay that they got now. Falcons squeak by the Raiders, who are awful.
Yeah.
And
the Raiders are trying to be awful this year too.
I saw something like that Portnoy was telling Gruden that he Antonio Pierce was like, yeah, we're fighting your Patriots for the number 1 pick this year. They're like, I was like, my gosh, they're tanking for Shador, I think. But Cousins just looked bad, man, from the beginning of the year to where he was on point. And you got Pitts, you got who hasn't lived up to his expectations, but you got Drake London, you got who's the other guy they got? It's a really good receiver. God, I'm drawing a blank right now. But for the Falcons, yeah. Come on now. Let me beat you to it.
Darrell Mooney.
Yeah, Mooney. So they have Mooney. They got Bijan Robinson. They have so many weapons. I thought that Cousins was going to flourish. He looked awful. And what happens? They bench him for Penix Jr. They're still in the playoff race. So, what do you think about this move so late in the season with so much on the line, Chance?
So, wasn't Penix Jr. recovering from an injury that he had surgery on or something after his senior year?
Yes.
So, I wonder if that was always going to be a plan. You knew Cousins was going to start and carry the team, but until they knew for sure that Penix was 100% healed, able to carry the load, and handle 40 passes a game, I wonder if they were just waiting until Cousins' downfall.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that was just the move.
I just didn't think it was going to happen. I mean, So Tampa's got Dallas, Carolina, and New Orleans, 3 teams that have losing records to play, and Falcons are only 1 game behind them. So to make this move this late in the season, I just don't understand. I know Cousins played bad, but you just got to hope the process, goes through. But man, the Falcons have the Giants, the Redskins, and Carolina. So Redskins may be their toughest game, and that'll be a playoff game probably. I think it just got moved to the 7:20 game on NBC. So that's a big game. But man, so late in the year, that was just, I couldn't believe it.
Flex to Thursday.
Flex. Yeah. So I mean, what a move this late in the year by the Falcons. We'll see if it pays off or not. But looks like the Vikings did make the right move by going to Darnold. So so it was a very interesting week. A lot we've covered with so much with the players and things like that. But yeah, we're excited for bowl season, the end of the year with the NFL playoffs.
We didn't really go into basketball.
It's not. Listen. Okay. All right, we'll take 2 minutes to go to basketball. Chance has moved on from football. I'm sorry that you don't care about anything else going on since the Auburn's not in the bowl game. So we'll talk about basketball. Auburn
91-53 over Ohio State last week.
I thought Ohio State was going to show some fight. I picked them just to pick against Auburn. Auburn crushes them. Bama does beat Creighton.
Which, I kind of figured they would, but I needed Creighton to win. Gators
beat Arizona State also in that same tournament in Atlanta that Auburn was playing in. Last night, some crazy things happening, especially in Auburn. I know you're going to speak a little bit about during your Auburn segment. Florida plays UNC at North Carolina in the Jordan Classic. They beat them. Gators are 11-0, first time since Joakim Noah, Al Horford, and those guys have been on campus, which obviously national championships follow that. I think Michigan and Oklahoma play tonight, some other Jordan teams. So this is all Jordan teams. Florida's a Jordan brand now. So Jordan, and you had to be a Jordan brand to do that, and Oklahoma and Michigan are. So that's what's going on. They play tonight. Auburn wins again.
Georgia State.
159. They just don't beat teams. They crush teams.
Yeah.
10-1 on the year, number 2 in the country. Broome gets hurt.
That's huge, though.
He's just coming off that 2020 game, first time since 1999 for Auburn. He's the best player in the country right now. Is that you have had shoulder issues? How bad is a dislocated shoulder?
I still deal with it every so often. I mean, if you land on it weird, it'll pop back out. Once it's been dislocated, it's susceptible to getting redislocated or popping out of place.
It happened last year for him. So is this? I mean, is he gonna have to wear just a brace? Is this? I mean,
they'll probably rehab, depending on how severe it was. He'll probably have to rehab it for about a week or 2. Wear one of those restricting braces that only allows restricted movement. But
he's left-handed.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, we'll see. Basketball is completely different. Football, as long as you can get your arm around here to make a catch.
Well, to me, this is just a suggestion. Auburn's, I think, a good enough team to make the tournament no matter what. Do you hold him out till March and get him completely healthy?
That's a good point. And yes, I probably would. Until you're losing enough games to knock you out of any race, I say keep your best players that you can healthy for the end of the year tournament. The one you've said you care most about. You care about championships.
And to me, this was one of the years Auburn was probably going to be favored to win the national championship. Only thing I disagree with that, Chance. The SEC is absolutely loaded this year. 12 teams in the top 25. You could go on an 0-7 run there and may not be in the tournament if Auburn just completely tanks. Now, not saying the rest of the team's not good, but he leads that team.
Who's his backup?
It's a backup by committee. You don't have a backup. All right, like I said, it's going to be multiple people have to take his spot.
Right.
But again, 12-6 may win the SEC this year. That's how good it is. I mean, Oklahoma's barely in the top 25, and they're undefeated. Florida's undefeated. Kentucky's in the top 5. I just don't think the layoff till March can happen because I think they're going to have to do well in the SEC or at least go 500. But yeah, it's a tough situation.
Let's see the schedule for him here.
I mean,
so for at least the next 4 weeks, he could sit out. Missouri shouldn't be a challenge. I don't see Purdue beating.
Look in February, Chance. They got to have him back. 17, 14, 7, 1, 9. I don't know if I've seen a basketball schedule. It's like turning into SEC football.
Then
it really is.
Then yeah, I mean, if you sit him out till February, that's plenty of time. He'd be fine after a month. So you sit him out for 2 months, he'll be just fine February. Give him a break after some of those games, maybe. Get him to rest it again.
Just scroll back up. Scroll back up.
I'm just gonna do full schedule.
No, I want you to go back. I don't want to see that.
Oh, okay.
Just go down. Scroll down. Who leads him in points?
Where does it show? Oh.
Who leads him in assists? Go to defense. You go back up there where you were. Click on the other side right there, defense.
Full team stats.
No. Just go click on defense.
Right there.
He leads them in every category but steals. And he probably is close in that. Like, this is a big deal.
That is. It's more than I expected it to be.
Yeah. So hopefully he gets better. Hopefully your picks get better.
Ah.
We got the college football preview coming up here on the Tide and Tiger show.
Yeah, we got the head-to-head.
You ready? He seems really nervous. But what do you expect from an Auburn guy here on Tide and Tigers?